Welcome to Live Action Star Wars. I'm James.
I'm Ralph.
And this week we are talking about Chapter 6 of the Book of Boba Fett. From the desert comes a stranger. And we're bringing in our own stranger to join us from the desert, all the way from the desert and the internet. You know him from Star Wars Bits over on slashfilm.com. We've mentioned him a few times on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Adam Frazier.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Welcome.
Thank you for joining us, Adam.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's going. It's definitely going.
It is going.
I'm not one of these guys. I'm not a reactions video guy. Yeah. I'm not one of these guys who goes and just like, oh my God, and gushes about Star Wars. But this episode, I feel like my face was like that the whole time.
Absolutely.
It was a big one. We all kind of knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you're here. I feel like I'm going to be sort of taking a back seat on this episode because you two guys, as far as I know, are the most knowledgeable Star Wars guys I know, like personally.
Very kind.
So, I mean,
it's one of those episodes where everything's sort of coming full circle. First time that me and Ralph podcasted together was the Ahsoka episode of The Mandalorian. And now this is... You know, she's back. She's back here in a big way.
I sort of knew kind of what was coming, expected a few things, but there were so many things I wasn't expecting, like Ahsoka showing up, like you mentioned. And, you know, I was just grinning like this the whole entire episode. Like, I can't believe this is happening. So
they're doing it. They're doing it. They're doing it. Sort of.
Yeah. Also, I just want to comment on our like Russian nesting doll level of beards. It kind of
I tidied mine up earlier on today. It was getting a bit big, so I just tidied mine up earlier on. I wanted to look good for the show.
I have all week I've been thinking about figuring out how people do the face swap thing where you put the eyes and the nose over a drawing.
Oh yeah, sure.
And full on doing the beard chrysanthemum with the face in here. It's coming, guys. It's coming.
Look forward to it in the finale.
So where do you even want to begin? How do begin?
Well, let's first say hi. There's folks in the chat. We're glad they're joining us. Vactor's here. He said he can't wait. It's happening now, so you don't have to. Scott Whiteside, who I think this is the first time I've seen him in the chat. Welcome.
Welcome.
So many notes taken. So if you have anything, pop them in the chat. I'll pop them in as we go along. Star Wars guys here.
Welcome back, Star Wars guy. Always good to see you.
Sarah Kelly is here. My sister.
Morning, Sarah.
Scott D, of course. And Vactor says, yes, we are live. Yeah.
Okay.
We normally just kind of do just a conversation about it. It's never been a recap show. It's just been a nice conversation with adults talking about Star Wars. It's tough
in a very calm and mannered way, of course. We're not going to geek out about anything.
But today I feel like a kid. I really do.
Yeah.
And I can't even imagine. I mean, every single week there's some little thing that the toxic fanboys find and latch onto and copy and paste and throw out there. I can't imagine what they're going to come up with this week.
Don't tempt them like that. Don't tempt them like that.
I'm thinking those kinds of guys aren't following us. But I mean, if you have any sort of issue with the color of speeder mopeds, all of that should be washed away with this episode, right?
Yeah, right.
Like you think so? We know that these shows are Filoni and Favreau playing with their toys. It's like most weeks it's a case of like one of them has gone to the other one's house. They've bought a few action figures with them. Here they are. They're going to play with them. But this week, this is Christmas Day. This is them getting their toy box. They're getting all of their new action figures and emptying it out. No, you disagree with that?
This is Filoni taking all the action figures away from Favreau and hoarding them for himself. This is Favreau came over to play Filoni's Nintendo, and Filoni's like, you can watch me play Nintendo. That's what this is.
All right.
This is he wrote it too,
also,
right?
Yeah, they co-wrote.
They co-wrote. Yeah. This is I mean, this is when he busts out his special toys that he doesn't take over to Favreau's house.
Right. His mail-aways that Favreau didn't get.
I just want to say right off the bat, when it comes to visual effects in terms of humans and de-aging, I'm always fairly forgiving about that because I understand that it's an imperfect technology and it's
an evolving technology.
Yeah. And so I was very impressed with Tarkin in Rogue One, and I thought that was great. And when Luke showed up at the end of Mandalorian season 2, I was like, oh well, there's something not quite right, but I'm gonna forgive it because it's Luke Skywalker. Like he's standing here, like they did it, And I don't know if you recall, but a while back, it was Lucasfilm hired this famous sort of deep faker Shamook from YouTube, and clearly his salary has been paid for with this one episode.
I mean, just this alone, if he never does anything else,
phenomenal. I think if you were to ask me 5 years ago, would it be possible to do a Adventures of Luke Skywalker series in 2022? I would say no, unless you're going to recast, like Sebastian Stan or something. But the Luke that we saw today, he can be plugged in to a series, to a movie, to anything. It really feels
like they don't need a physical Luke there. I mean, you've got the stand-in who's great, and we saw him last week as a new character, which is nice. And I think at that point, a lot of us were starting to think, okay, cool, we're going to get Luke, aren't we? Because they've obviously got him back in. And now I agree. I think, Luke can show up. And I think now that we've done it once is like the novelty. And now that we've got back to it, it's like Luke's on the table.
I just couldn't believe it. And again, I expected Luke to show up, but I did not expect Luke to dominate most of this episode. I mean, he is in it a lot, and it's a lot of dialogue.
Yeah.
And a lot of action as well with him jumping and kind of training with Grogu. And I was just blown away by it. I was just staring at the screen like that's Luke Skywalker.
That's Luke Skywalker.
1983 Mark Hamill. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I was trying so hard to be cynical and find sort of the imperfections. There's only one spot where I was like, oh, that didn't look right. But I was like, I shouldn't be focusing on that. I should just give into it. I should just allow it to happen. And this dude, Shamook, made it a lot easier to do that. We've discussed a possible return of Han Solo rumors. I still don't know. I'm good right now. This week I'm good. I don't know if I can you do Harrison Ford?
It's interesting because that's really what Shamook got known for. Is he did a video where he put Harrison's face on Alden Ehrenreich's.
It was sort of the blend, wasn't it?
And the blend of it was just uncanny. And I think that's probably part of it being successful. Is you really have to have someone who can embody the character on that level. I think the stand-in or the guy that's doing the body performance for Luke does a great job with the body language and the mannerisms and just the way he even moves his hand and stuff. It all just felt like Mark Hamill was doing it. And there's a lot of rumors out there about Han showing up. I think I think there's a pretty good chance of that happening, especially if the way this episode ended. If Grogu's gonna go back with Mando, that he's going to have to pick him up, or they're going to meet somewhere, and maybe Han's there. I guess we'll see.
Someone posted a picture online. I forget who it was. It was a page from Lone Wolf and Cub, where it was the same thing. There's a samurai sword and a ball, and the child had to make a choice. I'm kind of hoping it's like the movie Willow, where he just goes with his gut and picks both. I don't see why he couldn't pick both and just show Luke a lesson that that's the old Jedi way.
That's my point. Is we know that eventually Luke comes around to it and goes, no, the Jedi way was wrong. They didn't have it right. At this point in time, we know that this is his first student. We got confirmation that Grogu is his first student.
But as Ahsoka said, as Ahsoka says, the Padawan has something to teach to the master.
Yes.
So this could be that thing.
And her being there as an influence as well, I think, is a big deal because she took a different path.
I think that's all really fascinating too, because what I was struck by with that scene is Luke allowing Grogu to make a choice already, to me, shows a deeper level of understanding and a recognition that the previous Jedi ways had failed. Like he's giving Grogu a choice that the Jedi never did.
Yeah.
Because he knows firsthand how attachment can destroy essentially, the Jedi way. So I just thought that was so interesting. I'd love to see where they go with that.
I mean, I would assume that we're not going to get much of it next week. I think that's all going to be that's Mandalorian season 3 there.
And the interesting thing about that too is by showing that flashback of Grogu, it sort of feels like now that's going to be a big anchor point for season 3, the way Mando's flashbacks were for the first seation. I feel like there's a lot of story to tell there in terms of who rescued him from the temple, how did he end up in that bunker in Mandalorian years later?
Who had him? Was he on Mount Tantis for a time? Like,
right?
Is it going to tie back into the Bad Batch?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm expecting the Bad Batch to show up. I don't know where they fit in the timeline, but Fennec is looking for soldiers.
Yeah.
Totally possible.
It's a great shout. Like if she's gonna go for people that she knows and trusts at least somewhat, then they seem like a solid shot. But again, I don't think we will, just because that then takes away from any sort of stakes of who lives and who dies in the Bad Batch.
Oh yeah.
So maybe we just get one.
Maybe we just get Omega.
Speaking of the flashback, I'm going to pop this up. James.
Yeah. So we talked about the flashback. This guy right here. Did you guys recognize this scene?
It looked like the scene from like the holotapes, like when they're reviewing the security footage. Like his movements reminded me of that. It
is exactly the shot that Obi-Wan and Yoda are looking at when they're looking at the security footage.
Amazing.
It's the character is, what is his name? It's Sin Dralik, which is Nick Gillard, who was the Swordmaster on the prequels.
Oh,
yeah.
And I remember in the build-up to episode 3, they were like, "Yeah, no, we've got Nick." An on-screen part, it's gonna be tiny, and then it was revealed that it was that hollow thing.
Actually, tiny,
and it's physically tiny. And it's this, and he's the guy who's like, he was sort of the first line of defense because he was this amazing swordsman, the character, because you got Nick Gillard, and so we see him get cut down in that holotape, and then we see whoever, like the 2 other Jedi that he's with. What we don't see is obviously if they just panned to the left of what we saw. You've got a little baby Grogu there, assuming. And
I'm wondering, my mind was racing immediately with, okay, who's in the temple at that moment? Who rescues Grogu? And I'm not sure where it lies now within canon, because her death was done like 3 different ways and none of them were used. But Shakti could save Grogu, and maybe that's why he's so fond of Ahsoka.
But then would he have apprehension when it comes to meeting Boba Fett, for instance, or other clones like the Bad Batch or something? Because he knows that voice, he might recognize that face.
Yeah, it's true.
Is he going to be apprehensive of anyone that looks like Jango?
Yeah,
I think it'd be interesting to see. But yeah, I saw that and I instantly recognized that Jedi, that footage sort of thing.
Yeah,
and I was like, of all the characters that people are going to be talking about this week, to be able to pull Sin Dralik out, I was like, we might have a scoop here. I was quite proud of myself for it.
And that's a great call out. And also it's funny how that connects to the way Filoni uses those kind of hologram scenes in Bad Batch, because he shows you the other side of Revenge of the Sith scenes,
That's it. And it's,
sneaks Kanan into that one shot as well.
Yeah. I mean, even in the Clone Wars, like the last season of the Clone Wars, we sort of see the alternate side of the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, this show's doing such a great job of bringing prequel, Clone Wars,
sequel,
original trilogy, sequel trilogy, everything, like comics. It's bringing it all together.
I want to jump around right back to the beginning, because my mind was sort of blown by the ant droids.
Yes,
building
the builder ants.
Luke's
the builder
temple.
ants.
Yeah.
Well, the reveal of him was great because you just see the rock come over the little ridge.
Yeah.
It's the fake out with
of
is
course,
that
yeah,
Grogu?
you're assuming that's someone
Moving
a force
rocks,
user
yeah.
moving
Yeah.
rocks. But yeah, those droids were cool. They look like oh man,
The
Star
Boston
Wars
Dynamics
boxes.
ones. Oh, okay, yeah, Star Wars
There's like
boxes.
Yeah.
it's I don't know how else to describe them. The Star Wars boxes
Mhm.
with the sort of cross and the circle in the middle, like put together and to make one spider droid. I don't know if have these been shown up in
I don't
I've never
recognize
seen
them.
them.
before.
I definitely don't recognize them.
They
But
look
yeah, it
Star
was
Warsy.
as Adam said though, the way that they're moving and climbing over things as they're building, it's very much like builder ants is what they're designed to look like. Loved the bench. Just the fact
Is that a bench?
yeah, R2 as a foreman, amazing. Give that guy a hard hat and
Yeah.
a hard hat and high vis, and I want foreman R2. Like that needs to be like a little Lego short or something.
I love that R2 shuts down
Yeah.
after being asked a question. It's like R2's.
I feel like he just told them.
I do love that. I love when you go back and watch all the movies, it's so funny when Luke is in Obi-Wan's hut and he's got the lightsaber, and then C-3PO is randomly like, "Oh, I'm going to shut down for a while if that's okay."
Yeah.
It's like I don't want any part of this conversation.
Yeah, I'm out.
My memory was wiped. I don't want to go back there. So
It's like me on Twitter the other day when Last Jedi was trending.
Oh yeah, I know. Just hide that immediately.
Yeah. No, Scott D mentioned it just here as R2 said we're going to be waiting here for a while, so make him a bench. It's so good. And they even create a little I mean R2 is a little shit. They even make him like a little seat and a cushion. It's
cushion,
brilliant.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think, unless I missed it somewhere, I don't think we know the name of this planet yet. It showed up in Last Jedi, obviously, in the flashback and stuff. Yeah. But I don't think we know the planet that Luke's temple is on.
The only place that it might be, I can't remember it, if it is mentioned by name, is in the Rise of Kylo Ren comic.
Right.
We see it a little bit there, but I don't think it's named. I don't remember it being named. Which
sort of begs the question. I didn't focus on it too much, but you do wonder how Mando found Luke on this planet. But I guess R2 is sort of sending out a beacon.
It seems like R2 is sort of broadcasting. At least maybe R2 sort of gave him a hey, if you need us, but this is where we'll be.
Yeah, maybe
card as they left.
Yeah.
So I assume that they got it that way.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be sort of public knowledge. I don't think he's putting an ad up on Space Craigslist saying, "Want to be a Jedi? Come to this."
On Craigslist.
Well, I mean, if you figure like at this point in time, the Empire's gone.
Yeah.
The First Order hasn't reared its head yet, so it's not as he doesn't have to go in hiding hiding.
It's not a super secretive thing, I don't think, but it is just interesting that it's just Luke there. So he staked out another isolated exile-esque planet, but
it looks pretty. It looks really nice. I love the bamboo. Nice. The bamboo forest, so samurai. It just screams like classic samurai movie and master training apprentice and everything. It's perfect.
All the stuff with Luke telling Grogu about Yoda and then walking through the forest and doing the training montage and him doing his signature flip over the rock or whatever. I was just in love with all of that. And him climbing to the top of the bamboo and showing Grogu like the valley and everything. So good.
I mean, the fact that he's talking about balance and he's
exerting
massive amounts of balance to be able to do that.
Yeah,
just the I mean, classic iconography of having Yoda on his back as a learner, and now he's the master, and having his Padawan on his back, like it's pretty amazing, and it really hit me. And then we get the line, "Don't try to do it,"
you're trying too hard.
No try.
Don't try to do it.
And like.
I liked. Go on.
I was going to say, I'm just going to mention the score. The score of this episode was amazing. A lot of classic Star Wars themes. Yoda's theme. I swear I heard Rey's theme in there. I could be wrong. During the time he was making the decision, there's a theme in there. I'm the only one that didn't watch it twice. I need to go watch it again. But but the Yoda theme, show it popping up with the lightsaber, which, I mean, I'm a lightsaber dude. I love lightsabers, and just seeing him take it out of the box, I'm like, that's 100% Yoda's lightsaber.
Yeah.
And I had a good like 10 seconds of being proud of myself before he said it was Yoda's lightsaber.
It's crazy, isn't it? Like for the last sort of year, everyone's been sort of debating, oh, you know, when's Grogu going to build his own lightsaber? What is it going to have the little pommel on it? It's like no one put together. It's like, well, he's just going to use Yoda's. Why wouldn't he just use Yoda's?
Yeah, it's like a training saber, I guess, and then he would go make his own at some point. But yeah. I just I love this idea that post Return of the Jedi, Luke is this like almost Indiana Jones type archaeologist, where he's going around collecting all these artifacts. You know, if you played Battlefront, there's an element of that in Battlefront as well. And
we see a bunch of them in The Last Jedi as well, like as it scans over his bookshelf.
Yeah, totally. I love that he recovered Yoda's lightsaber from Coruscant somehow. So that's awesome.
Yeah, of course. I think they've retconned in the canon, like somewhere. I think Mas Amedda destroys that lightsaber, but that could just be Imperial propaganda at this point. You can write it off as that. Plus, Mas Amedda's a dick. So
my wife asked me this while we're watching, and then it came up: does Ahsoka know that Luke is Anakin's son?
Absolutely.
I thought we were 2 to 3 years away from a scene in which Ahsoka was standing side by side with Luke Skywalker. In no way was I prepared for that this morning.
Yeah,
like, not at all.
So of all the reveals this week, I feel like Ahsoka was the biggest one in terms of what it means.
Yeah.
And what it leaves me going, I want more of that. I want more of their I want to know how much they've interacted. She leaves it open at this point here. She's like, I've done my job. I'm going to go off and do my own thing. Peace. Yeah. But like, they've obviously had conversations.
Yeah.
Like, and there's so much to dig into there.
I just want to see a full episode of their conversation where Luke asks her to tell him stories of Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
Like that relationship, you know, the only stuff he knew about his dad was that he was this asshole, Darth Vader. Knew he had good in him, but really
he got half truths from Obi-Wan, and that was it. Whereas now he can talk to, you know, a living being who spent so much time with Anakin.
Yeah. Speaking of Shmook, I wanted to bring this up earlier. Speaking of Obi-Wan, I want that Alec Guinness hybrid with Ewan McGregor to show up in the Obi-Wan series.
It is possible.
And if this
as like an epilogue, like
that would be cool.
Yeah.
That's how we get the scene with Maul maybe in live action.
Ooh,
be interesting.
Oh yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah, Ahsoka, I was not expecting at all, but it totally makes sense because they want to keep her fresh in your mind. Obviously, I don't know if she's going to be in Mando season 3 or not, but certainly Ahsoka is the next to come down the pipe there. So
it's the next one going into production, isn't it?
Because we're looking, they're casting for Ahsoka right now.
Yeah, I think it starts in March. Starts filming in March. Yeah.
So we're looking at Obi-Wan next, and then Andor, and then Ahsoka, then Mando. Or is Mando already shooting?
Mando's already
Mando's shooting. It'll be December, and then Ahsoka will be in 2023.
Yeah. We're only gonna have a matter of weeks in between seasons of like live action shows. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
So while we're on the sort of subject of Ahsoka, she struck me in this. Ralph, I know that you're a book guy. Adam, you've been reading some of the High Republic, haven't you?
Yeah.
So Ahsoka feels like a Wayseeker, like Orla Jareni from the High Republic. In that time, there were parts of the Jedi Order who they decided, you know, we're not going to have the classic master and apprentice thing. We're going to go off and do our own thing. We're going to explore the Force in different ways. We're still part of the Jedi Order. We still like adhere to that, but we're going to kind of do our own things, seek our own way. And she struck me at this point in her life very much as doing that sort of thing. Yeah. She's got that sort of Ronin vibe to her.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was really cool. I thought it was a really nice way of seeing her, where she's just like, all right, I'm not going to stick around and help you train. That's not my purpose.
Yeah.
I've got to go and do my own thing. And maybe I'll, like, if I find people that I think should be trained, I can send them to you, but this is your task. You're the Jedi here, not me.
And you have to wonder, Rangers of the New Republic was another series that was going to fold into this shared universe, and it got sort of canceled and absorbed.
Indefinite hiatus, I think, is indefinite hiatus. Shelved. Yeah.
Kathleen Kennedy was quoted as saying that she felt like that elements of it were going to be absorbed into Mandalorian season 3, and I would assume Ahsoka to some extent, because when it was originally announced, they said that these series were going to culminate in a climactic crossover event. And I'm now wondering if that is going to be Disney Plus's first Star Wars movie.
That would be cool.
Oh.
And what does that look like? Because Ahsoka is obviously moving toward getting Grand Admiral Thrawn. Are we going to, and now we have an amazing Luke that can fit into the timeline. So are we moving toward an actual Heir to the Empire type remix situation? I mean, that would be insane.
This is what I said. I feel like Boba Fett is taking that Talon Card sort of role as the crime lord. I mean, there he is.
My sister gave this to me. And if they're selling this dude at Galaxy's Edge,
they've got plans for him.
They will be soon. Yeah, definitely. As soon as they've cast him.
So I'm super fascinated, and then by then we'll have Sabine and whatever's going on with Ezra. I mean, it's a very exciting time.
I mean, if we're building to that, is that sort of something that I don't know? Does Thrawn take over Mandalore, and it's sort of a liberation of Mandalore, pulling it away from Thrawn, something like that, possibly? Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where they go with it. I'm all in. People have been complaining these last 2 weeks that it's like, oh, they call it the Book of Boba Fett, but it's not about Boba Fett. But
no one complains about Star Wars.
No, never. Not in the history of the franchise. But I've just sort of been seeing this is all one show. This is
absolutely.
This is season 3, and the first 2 were subtitled The Mandalorian. This one subtitled The Book of Boba Fett.
And when it was first announced as a stinger to Mandalorian season 2,
absolutely,
it was billed as the next chapter in the Mandalorian saga. So
it is one show. It's just we got 4 episodes where it was really Boba Fett heavy. But if they'd called it The Mandalorian, just season 3, subtitled The Book of Boba Fett, I don't think anyone would have these complaints. Or they might be complaining, where's Grogu? Where's Grogu? Why did it take him 6 episodes to get to Grogu?
Yeah, I sort of had a similar thought in that if they just called this whole universe like Rise of the Mandalore or something.
Yeah, or Age of the New Republic, or
whatever. And
the Outer Rim. Yeah,
you'd be wondering, oh, okay, so who is going to be the new Mandalore? Because you've introduced me to Bo-Katan and this Din Djarin guy and Boba Fett, and all these people are kind of vying for this position. But I want to hit on that title topic because I think it's so interesting. Because people have said like, oh, this episode has nothing to do with Boba Fett or what have you. But I think the title Book of Boba Fett is so interesting because if you look at every single character that's appeared, right? And let's use this episode. Every single one of these characters has a deep connection to Boba Fett that completely changed their lives in some way. Yep. Like if you look at just like Cad Bane, who appears, and we can talk more about him, like, he was Boba Fett's mentor and his biggest rival. So obviously he's connected to Boba Fett.
Yeah, and we're going to get more of that next week, 100%. And Cobb Vanth, they might not have ever met, but he was wearing the armor. So
Boba Fett's armor allowed Cobb Vanth to protect his people and kill a crate dragon. Yeah. And there's also that furthering the bond really between Mandalorians and Tuskens. That was a joint operation.
I like that line. We both lost something.
Yeah.
It's such a big deal to Cobb Vanth to have that armor he almost respected that armor as much as Mando respects Grogu. So shows you how big
his line of like, how are you doing without the armor? It's like, well, I'm being more careful.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not just letting myself get shot all the time, though.
And obviously we know Boba Fett's connection to Luke Skywalker. I mean, if Boba Fett's not part of that situation. Luke doesn't come to Cloud City. He doesn't come face to face with his father. He doesn't find out that Vader is his father.
He doesn't go in the Sarlacc.
He doesn't go in the Sarlacc. So, and especially when Han, if Han shows up next week, that connection is already there. There's no question of that.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the newer characters, Din Djarin, would he ever have been able to rescue Grogu from Moff Gideon without the help of Boba Fett and his ship?
He would have been stuck on Tython. He wouldn't have been able to go anywhere.
And
I remember season 1 of Mandalorian. We didn't really have a big bad on the show until Moff Gideon showed up late in the series. And then we haven't had really a main villain in this show until this episode.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to carry through, and that's Cad Bane. And this a
villain for Boba Fett, not for like the Tatooine or the galaxy at large, but like for Boba Fett on a personal level. Yeah, it's Cad Bane.
Yeah.
This is I'm not the biggest Clone Wars follower. I watched the series once. It's a lot to kind of revisit. So I don't, even Rebels, which I absolutely love, it's still a lot to revisit. So like I understand how big of a deal Cad Bane is, and I know everybody's been waiting for his entrance, and I thought his entrance to this show was pretty great. Like as soon as you saw him out there,
as soon as you saw the wind chime going, I was like, oh, here we go. Because it's so Western, and that character has such a Western feel. He always has. That was like,
even the title. Yeah, even the title of the episode when it comes up, from the desert comes a stranger. I was like, oh, it must have to just be, Cobb Vanth or something. Like, it didn't even occur to me. That it would be, because I thought we were going to spend the whole time on the Jedi planet, but when we came back, I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to get more desert stuff, because I don't think we've seen the person. Never occurred to me until we saw out in the distance. You could just make out the hat
shimmer.
In the distance.
Yeah, they didn't tease it too long, which I thought was nice. It's like, as soon as you see the hat, those like people who have watched the shows know.
That's what the fanboys are going to complain about. The hat is too small.
Yeah, of course it is.
I already had someone in my DM saying that.
Really?
Someone DM me and said his hat was too small. I was like,
and don't Duros normally have like a little squiggle down their eye?
Like,
right. But it's like, who cares? Duros looked cool.
Great.
I love that so species menacing. So much.
The shot of just his teeth reminded me of the mouth of Sauron from Lord of the Rings. It was so
great shout.
Yeah.
And it looks like we have two people playing him, right?
I was going to say, yes. Yeah, go on.
Corey Burton does the voice. Yeah.
Right. Which he does the voice for the animated series, which I'm sure now you're going to get DMs crying, well, if they can do Cad Bane's voice, why can't they do Ahsoka's voice? It cracks me up. The whole thing cracks me up. I'm not trying to stoke fires. I'm not trying to but I'm just now processing, oh, this is the stuff I'm going to hear. I'm like, oh, this episode is foolproof. But I guess not.
But carrying on the title theming idea, like even Ahsoka, it's like Ahsoka's trusted friend is Captain Rex. Like, when Boba Fett takes his helmet off,
tied in.
That's perfectly. Captain Rex's face. And
absolutely.
And to take that even a step further, like you were saying earlier with Grogu, I mean, Grogu's life is directly affected by the clones and and beyond that. The galaxy itself.
Yeah, it really does.
The Clone Wars, the Empire, none of that stuff happens. It doesn't happen the same way without Boba Fett. So he is absolutely crucial to everything that's happened in every episode. And I think the Book of Boba Fett really hammers it home as a title of like a biblical tale that, while he might not be seen in every scene, while he may not always be the focus, like Boba Fett's presence and his existence is being felt like as a ripple throughout.
Yeah, it looms over the whole thing. Yeah, definitely, completely agree. It's amazing that they can pull it off and bring all of these elements together in such a good way. It's like, and it's not rammed down your throat. Things like that. Those ties, they're all there.
Yeah,
they're not that deep. People just have to, look for them a little bit. And they're all right there. We were just talking about the Cad Bane actor. It was David Pasecki, is it? Pasecki is the body
Oh, really? He does that too, because he's the major domo.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was. I believe he was the body of Cad Bane, possibly.
Those two credits came up during the shot of the artwork for Cad Bane.
Yeah, that's
So
what made me think
assume that too.
I might be wrong though. It might be that he was in. Yeah, just playing the major.
I wish they would show the full credits at the end of the episode. It's like they show like 4 or 5 names, and then that's all you.
Yeah, they show the guests in the sort of the other bit, but yeah, no one else. I was expecting because at first I thought, is that James Marsden playing the marshal's lieutenant or like the deputy?
Apparently, that's the stunt coordinator.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, I saw his name show up twice there.
Okay, cool. Deputy Dickhead, as I would like put him in my notes.
R.I.P.
Come on, dude. Like, yeah. So he's dead. He's
but
that
line he's new was perfect.
yeah. Do we think Cobb Vanth is dead?
No. I think
on my second watch, it definitely took it in the shoulder.
Him in the shoulder, and I think he'll either be totally fine or they could do some mod stuff to him.
There we go. Yeah,
introduce that as a fun little thing. So
Cobb Vanth with the robot shoulder.
But I fully expect him to show up with the citizens of Freetown, and I assume some Tuskens are going to show up as well.
I hope so
for a final battle, and I'm hoping that the warrior and the child are still alive, and
I feel like
up as part of that.
You mentioned Return of the King a little bit earlier, and I feel like the Tuskens coming in is going to be almost like the Army of the Dead.
Yes.
They'll have that sort of vibe to them, where like I don't know, maybe the bad guys are sort of getting routed a little bit, and they're trying to flee, and then the Tuskens are there on the outskirts of town.
It's true.
Yeah. They'll be led by the warrior.
Yeah,
that's it. And it's just the warrior with that other band of Tuskens that we've seen who took down the crate. Maybe they've got some crate bones all over them. Which they definitely made use of that. Because
the sandcrawler with the crate skull attached to it
was
like an absolute fever dream. Like that was like in the midst of all this crazy stuff happening, Luke training Grogu, all these things happening. They cut to Jawas on top of a sandcrawler with a giant skull attached to it. And I was having like Ewok Caravan of Courage kind of flashbacks. I was like, oh my God, is this happening? Incredible.
It feels like some He-Man toys got into the mix, into the Star Wars toys.
Yes.
It's when they
the slime. Slime coming out of the skull.
It's when they reused all the toys for Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, isn't it? It's like it's just reusing all the old Kenner parts. It's like
and I also love the kind of the crate rib cage or part of it in the bar.
Yeah, in the bar.
In Freetown, they had put that in the bar. That was great.
They obviously had to take it in one at a time. Yeah, so Freetown, Ralph, is what that area is referred to in the Aftermath books.
Okay.
They don't call it Mos Pelgo in that, but it was referred to that he was like the Marshal of Freetown.
Okay.
So we've sort of almost caught up to that in timeline wise.
That stuff's good for your book readers.
It's not necessary though. You don't need to know that.
It's just a
exactly.
funny inside.
But that's what
It goes over my head. I still like it. And
they brought back the bartender from Deadwood, which is great. He was in season 2.
I look forward to seeing him take up a blaster and run into battle as well.
Yeah.
The biggest question for me is Garsa Fwip okay? Because the bombing of the sanctuary.
What about Max? Max and Garsa Fwip.
Well, see, I was looking real close, and Max is not with the band in this episode.
No.
It's a drummer. It's a drummer and like 2 biths.
Did we not see him in the background? I know that we don't get a close up of him, but I thought I don't know. I might be imagining it. I might be projecting.
They did close up to the droid in the bith.
Maybe. Oh yeah, Max. It was an inside job.
So like, don't come to work today.
Yeah,
stayed home. Yeah.
So. That scene gave me like massive vibes of Good Morning Vietnam when they blow up the bar in Good Morning Vietnam.
Oh yeah.
It felt so similar to that, and it might just be because I watched it a couple of months ago for the first time in a while.
Is it the Untouchables where the girl has the briefcase and says, "Mister, you forgot your brief," and it blows up?
Yeah, I mean it's been done. I don't know why, but yeah, I think it's just
definitely
that
a mafia type element for sure.
Or mafia, or it's just it's
guerrilla
not here to
tactic,
do massive amounts of damage. It's going to destroy this place, but it's there to send a message more than anything else.
I think it's it's a testament to the show and to Filoni and Favreau, obviously, but like I really felt a sense of like not sadness, but just a sense of like, oh God, like I had really sort of grown attached to this Garsa Fwip character and sort of this sanctuary as a scene, a setting.
When, if anything, like we were sort of half expecting a betrayal from her. Maybe she's playing both sides,
right?
And that would have been like, oh man, that sucks because it's a great character, but also she's still there. But to be potentially taken out as an innocent, like,
I mean, there was a lot of fire that came out of the doors and windows,
and she wasn't.
She was standing in the middle of it.
She was right there.
The droid was right behind her, holding it.
Mm-hmm. It was the recognition, like the split second before it blew. It was it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of Westerns. I don't really watch them.
I'm not massive.
And I think that the sort of duel at high noon is so overplayed. But this one was really good.
It really was.
This one was really, I was like, how is this going to go?
And it's weird because they're not. Go on.
I'm like, they can't kill Cad Bane.
No.
So I'm like, oh, then it's totally Cobb Vanth that's going to get killed. And I'm like, oh, but I don't want that.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, someone's got to die in this thing. I don't want it to happen. And it was probably the first duel in the streets, maybe since Back to the Future 3, where I actually cared about these two going face to face.
Yeah,
it's
funny you mentioned Back to the Future because I feel like, obviously the Mos Espa like speeder chase that felt very Back to the Future too. So it's interesting.
Yeah, and the train heist.
The train heist.
I mentioned it a few times. Of course, across this season, and it's weird that I'd never really put it together. There's a lot of Back to the Future in this series.
Yeah.
Has someone made? Is there a shirt out there that says Back to the Future, but it's back to tank?
Wow, get on that immediately.
I'll try. I don't know. I'm gonna have to come up with a clever design of what that is.
Someone contact Super Yaki for that one.
Yeah, I was sort of half expecting if they hadn't run out there with sort of almost like a back to patch straight away. I was expecting them to look it under and he had some new armor under his shirt or something. But
that's true too. They could just take him to Jabba's palace and he could get in the back to tank as well.
Yeah, that's it. We know that they've got a back to tank. Get on a speeder. Get on a slow moving bantha.
So,
oh God, that bantha.
So, looking at next week, do you guys have a sort of a wish list of things that you want to see or things you're expecting? Or
I think we can. I'm expecting to rule out getting Bosk, Dengar, classic bounty hunters at this point. I don't think we're going to get any more. I don't know if we're going to get any more apart from at the very end, new character reveals, like classic characters that we're excited to see. I think they've done that with this episode. We've got everyone that we're going to get. Possibly like as a stinger at the end, we might have Han show up or something like that in the Luke spot.
Yeah,
but
Orlando
would be very cool.
But it would be they'd have to DH
or
timeline
age up. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting too because they're doing that Lando series with
which we've heard nothing about. Yeah,
but there's like a line. I feel like with Star Wars, there's a line in the sand where you have an actor can be played by a younger person before this timeline.
Yeah,
and the original after this timeline.
ABY.
I was asking someone about the Han rumors and trying to get some clarification on where those were coming from and if they had any context for these rumors. And the way it was explained to me is like anything before the original trilogy, it would be Alden. If they want to go back and do a Crimson Dawn series or something like that, they'll get Alden to do that. But if it takes place during the original trilogy or after, they're going to go with the de-aging model. So that's what they're doing with Luke. And I don't know if we'll see Leia again in that way. It feels like people were very touchy with that, with Carrie Fisher's passing.
I think it's different because of Carrie. Yeah,
it's different. So yeah,
but I mean, they did it in Rise of Skywalker, and I feel like people didn't have an issue with that because it was Billy Lord.
Yeah.
So I think would that be a way to do it if you have Billy Lord blessing?
I think having Billy like giving her blessing and possibly being the stand-in is the only way that people would be forgiving of it. And even then, I think it would be there'd be a big contingent of people saying that, you're disgracing her memory and yada, yada, yada.
So, Ralph, do you have anything that you're potentially looking forward to? And
I mean, it's been said before, and I think at this point, the way things are going, Kira heading up the Pikes, and then maybe if Bosk were to be here, it's clearly the Pikes are hiring people.
Yeah,
because I don't think Cad Bane is tied to the Pikes that much. I don't recall.
He's a gun for hire. He'll work for anyone.
So I feel like
they've hired others that we haven't seen yet.
If those kind of guys show up, it'll be people
on the other side.
And Bosk is interesting because, because he's Bosk, and he's awesome. But
and again, tied to Boba Fett,
and deeply tied to Boba Fett. Oh yeah, way back there. But Boba and Bosk have this relationship that's sort of off again, on again. It seems like Bosk was something of a mentor to Boba when he was a kid, and he was part of a bounty hunting gang with him. But so if they bring Bosk in, which side is he going to be on? I could easily see him being on the Pike side, because deep down we all want and need to see the Bosk Black Chrysanthemum throwdown.
Yeah.
Of a Trandoshan and a Wookiee going at it. So I could see him being on the Pike side, but I could also just as easily see him showing up at Boba's side and willing.
He also, the way that he's been portrayed in other media, he's a sort of character who would flip. Like he's not going to be totally loyal to anyone. He's going to play with whoever's winning.
Yeah.
Like whoever's on the winning side is where he wants to be.
Yeah.
And yeah, so maybe he starts off with the Pikes, and then by the end of it, things aren't going well. And he's like, hey, Boba, remember me? We used to be friends.
But for the most part, I'm thinking we can get a hologram of Kira telling the Pikes, wipe them out, all of them.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking.
I would love it if we got Crimson Dawn as being the ones in control of all of this.
Yeah. I think obviously we're going to get Boba Fett riding a Rancor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's coming.
Riding the Rancor into town, showing
Rami the Rancor. Yeah.
Get Danny Trejo when they're fighting.
Yeah, I'd love to see Danny.
Danny with a force pike or something would be amazing. Yeah.
Well, Rodriguez is directing the final episode, so
he's going to be there.
Like a sure thing.
I think he's going to be there.
Right. Yeah, I really hope we see Bosk. I think obviously Boba riding the Rancor's a big move. I've been just thinking about the war in my head basically every single day since I figured out that that's where we were going. Just laying in bed at night wondering, how's it going to play out? How's it going to work? Like, is the slave one involved, or the fire spray? Sorry. Yeah. Like, how's that going to work out?
How dare you?
I know. I'm sorry.
I think it's still called the Slave One.
Yeah.
I just don't think they're naming it. Yeah, they're just.
Yeah, they're not saying it out loud. And honestly, it was never said in the movies, and
it doesn't matter.
I don't really care. I just,
who cares?
It's a cool ship. It's whatever. But yeah, it's just I would like to see the Hutts again in some capacity. I don't really expect them to fight, but I would just like to see more Hutt action. But
I want to see the Razor's Edge, which I am calling it the Razor's Edge until we get another name. I want to see that like flying around and shooting some stuff, because it's got some like beefed up cannons on it as well. We know how fast it can go. I'd like to see Mando maybe doing some strafing runs. Something. Yeah. That'd be cool.
Obviously, I want to see the Tuskens come back and sort of pay off that storyline. I think another thing too that people need to realize when Filoni and Favreau are kind of writing these shows and the story structure. I've seen so many people tweeting about story structure like they're Joseph Campbell, like you're not just dial it back a little. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think there is something intentional to breaking away from Boba's story for 2 episodes, because it sort of makes you put those things that were top of mind on the back burner, and it allows them to create moments of genuine surprise. Like we haven't thought about Tuskens for a minute, and they're going to show up, when you least expect it. And I think that the other interesting thing too is the flashback model itself. Like for the first few episodes, people were like, "Ugh, this back to tank device. Like I'm so tired of these flashbacks, yada yada yada." And then the back to tank device kind of wrapped itself up when he was healed. But very sneakily, there's still been a flashback in every single episode. We got the Purge flashback to Mandalore, and we got this Grogu flashback. And so now that we've introduced Cad Bane, you would suspect that there's going to be some sort of flashback in.
Yeah, I feel like they're gonna finally pay off that animatic from the Clone Wars with
I
the
think
den
so,
in the
to some
helmet.
degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and,
maybe we have an introduction. They see that Cad Bane's there with them, and then Fennec asks, like, "Oh, I've had dealings with him." Boba's like, "Yeah, me too." And then we go into that, like, oh, maybe like gives the helmet a rub or something,
and maybe possibly also some sort of payoff to the Camino stuff. We've got some Camino flashbacks, but they haven't really lined up quite with anything just yet. So I feel like
when we finally get some more Daniel Logan in there, sort of thing.
Maybe so. Maybe, and as a matter of fact, maybe that flashback, if there is a flashback to this Clone Wars encounter, Boba gets the dent in his helmet flies off, and we see Daniel Logan under the helmet. So I mean, it's
make it happen. That's definitely what I would love.
Yeah.
That would be an amazing finale. I'd be so satisfied with that. I don't even want to speculate on what happens plot wise. These are just sort of moments.
Yeah.
I feel like
I want to see played with.
Essentially.
Yeah.
I feel like we're sort of all expecting a big ground battle between the Pikes and whoever Boba Fett.
Yeah, it feels like through the streets.
I'm thinking they're holed up in Jabba's palace, and we get sort of a Hoth battle, but in the sand.
Oh yeah,
that would be interesting.
So,
that would be
a little bit of like Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah,
but it's all these different factions, isn't it? You've got like the core, like almost like Boba and his honor guard of everyone that's at the palace now.
Yeah,
and then you're gonna have the Freetown irregulars coming in.
Yeah,
and then the Army of the Dead style Tuskens coming in as well.
And you've got to imagine. I mean, I'm sort of picturing this finale as like 90% battle. I mean, maybe I'm wrong about that, but I feel like we jump right into it, and that's maybe most of the episode. And when you think about the way battles are typically laid out in movies, there's a lot of cross-cutting to different elements. So do we get some sort of space element? Do we get a ground element? Etc. So super excited.
Do we get the Mandalorian taking out a Pike transport?
Well, that's it. Mando starts on the ground. Then when they realize that they've got that the Pikes have like an aerial contingent,
they're gonna like,
I got this covered. Don't worry. Yeah. I've got the ship that can do this.
Yeah.
Side by side with Slave One.
That would be very cool. Yeah.
Dreams.
The
dreams of my childhood.
Boba lets Fennec fly Slave One because she likes pressing buttons.
Totally could see that happen. Yeah.
And he needs to be there, like leading the ground. Yeah, I think that'd be
interesting. Maybe Tuskens on speeder bikes.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
that would be very cool.
Yeah, as someone who, as a kid, I just read Tales from Jabba's Palace so many times that I wore the cover off and the binding, and it actually split in half, and I had to buy a new copy. Like, this is sort of a dream for me. It's like, I know people are like complaining about Tatooine or whatever dumb problems they have, but just like, man, I'm so grateful. I'm just enjoying every second of it.
And like we had I don't know how old you are, Adam, but I lived through the dark times from 83 to 99, maybe 97. This week we should celebrate special editions anniversary, but it's one of those things where it's like, guys, you're getting new Star Wars every week. I never in a million years thought we'd have another Star Wars movie, let alone a TV show.
Never.
And multiple TV shows.
Never would I see living, breathing Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Like the adventures of Luke Skywalker.
As you said, it's like, post Jedi. It's not even old man Luke. It's
like even catching the 45 seconds of Luke in The Force Awakens, like,
was enough.
Everything to me.
Yeah.
Everything. Like I couldn't believe it. Even though we knew he was going to be in the movie and we probably had hoped he'd be in a lot more. Like just getting that much, they made us wait to the very end to get any Luke, and I ate it up. And then having him just be here, and he looks great. He sounds pretty great. Like
I think it sounds great.
The computer thingy they're doing with the voice is amazing.
So the first couple of times he speaks, it cuts back to Grogu, and we don't see the mouth movements or anything like that.
Yeah.
But then as it goes on, it's almost like they're like, get used to it. Here's Luke, and now we're going to be able to see him talking and everything. And
his teeth look real, and his face looks real. Everything looks real.
You just buy it as long as you let yourself. Like it's just they're so confident with it that there can be like close-ups and that linger on it. We don't just get the flash of Leia at the end of Rogue One. We get full scenes where we are close on his face.
And then the CG isn't covered up by tears like at the end of Mando season 2.
Mm-hmm.
So it was it looked just perfect.
And I was born in 84, so I was born just after the trilogy. But I have an older sister, and she had the Kenner toys, and those were passed down to me. And so I had those and grew up through the dark times, essentially going to yard sales, flea markets, etc., like hunting down Kenner toys and
he walks in droves.
I said it in one of our very first episodes. Like, that's my exact experience as well. I'm 87, but my brother is 9 years older than me. My sister's 7 years older than me. They grew up like getting the Kenner toys for 25p at the local Tesco's. And I grew up spending Saturdays with my dad going to toy fairs and flea markets and going and finding like basically antique shops to find them all. And it ended up being like, I inherited a few of theirs, but it became my collection. It was something that sort of tied me and my dad together. It was great.
And I'm sure when the Power of the Force 2 line hit in the 90s, it was like, for me, it was like, I am getting every single thing they make because I missed out on it. I missed out on seeing a new Star Wars figure hanging on a peg in a store.
I'm getting all the characters that they made that they never did before and things like that. Like, they were the ones that I hunted down first. Definitely.
Because this is what was going on when Adam was born. This is the Star Wars you got when Adam was born.
Oh, I love it. Look at him.
And it's great. I love it.
Yeah, it's so good.
Like, there's no reason to bitch and complain about anything. If it's not for you, cool. Sorry.
Maybe the next will be. Like, it's just there's gonna always be something else now. If this
you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait 17 years. Just we got a new show in a couple months.
And we're going to keep running into this. When the Kenobi show takes 5 seconds to focus on someone else, we're going to hear this discourse again. And when Luke shows up in Ahsoka, we're going to hear this again. It's just it's a very weird thing that for me, it's like Star Wars is one giant story, and every character in Star Wars, as you know, like they're the main character of their own story. I mean, I grew up reading stories about Din Djarin, so like I have no issues with what I'm
Wedge is my favorite character because of the X-Wing books, for instance.
Right.
Like, it's things like that. It's everyone has a different thing that they love about Star Wars, and you can't get upset when you're not seeing your one favorite thing all the time. You're gonna get a broad spectrum of everything. Just enjoy it.
This is definitely taking me back to the quote unquote dark times when it was like Dark Empire, the heir to the Thrawn trilogy, the Tales from books. Like, I'm just soaking it all in right now.
Yeah. I'm right there with you.
Still, even between Revenge of the Sith, when Revenge of the Sith was done, I was like, that's it, it's done.
Yeah, that's it again. Yeah, I remember being like at midnight on Revenge of the Sith, people were like hugging and crying. They're like, this is it.
It's done. It's over.
Last Star Wars movie. Like,
I remember I went to Celebration 3 in Indianapolis, which was just before Episode 3, and then 4 a couple of years later for the 40th anniversary in LA. And the vibe was so different because everyone was excited about getting a new movie at 3. And then in 4, it just sort of felt like, we're here because we love Star Wars, but we don't have a thing to be excited about. Like,
right.
The Clone Wars movie was coming out the next year, but no one seemed to be excited about that yet. And it was just like, it was a weird vibe. That was my least favorite of the celebrations that I've been to.
Are you coming to Celebration this year?
I wish. I can't make it over, unfortunately.
I'm going to my first.
This is your first? Yeah. This is only my second. I went to the 2017 one in Orlando, but
okay.
Yeah.
I did 3, 4, and then the London one before Rogue One. But I am gonna go out of my way to, no matter where in the world it is, get to the next one. We want to do this live. We want to do this in person.
Yeah.
Kenobi, like, I feel like Kenobi was gonna debut on May 4th, but then I kept hearing things about it potentially being moved around, and I'm now wondering. I think it might come out in June, and I think they might actually show us the first episode of it at Celebration, like as a big premiere.
Well, I have a feeling
tracks.
I have a feeling that Boba Fett ends next week. The following Sunday is the big game.
Yes.
And we're going to get a trailer and
trailer and release date.
I listen, I don't think this is going to happen, but if they just said streaming now on Disney Plus,
I don't know what I would do.
Ralph, I am off. I am off on the Monday, so we can do it.
Okay.
I'm sure that both of our respective partners would love that for Valentine's Day.
Remember, oh shit, I'm going to be at Disneyland that day. But it would be like that Cloverfield, the like fake Cloverfield movie and said streaming after the game. It like wasn't Cloverfield. It wasn't Cloverfield, but they changed. I don't know. I never watched it, but I mean, God, come on. I
think the way it's being sort of moved around now, I'm guessing after Boba Fett's done, the next thing we'll get is Bad Batch. And then that will actually be running parallel with Kenobi. It'll overlap for a few weeks. So that's going to be a double dose.
I'm really hoping that it's only Bad Batch at the end of June, beginning of July, because I'm in Austin for a couple of weeks and I don't want to have to be trying to figure out hotel Wi-Fi to be able to do this show.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not talking about Bad Batch.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It's a vacation for us.
We do live action. Like I don't want to have to be trying to do live action. I don't want Obi-Wan to be coming out at the same time. Just give me a couple of weeks off.
I can say Super Bowl. I just don't know. Well, I don't know what the rules are for that whole thing.
Just don't sing Happy Birthday. Or can you?
We can do that now. We can do that now.
We can do that now.
Yeah. Just don't sing Happy Birthday to the Super Bowl.
They don't like it. Unless you use the Roman numerals in lyrics. So a couple of last little thoughts. I loved Ahsoka saying that she was an old family friend. And then her sort of talking to R2 and giving R2 some pets and how excited he was. Because like they go back so I mean of course anything with R2, but they have such a history together as well. It's like she's been around him for decades and it's lovely to see that they've reconnected. It's great to see. And it was it's old family friend, but
even when we just saw R2's antenna, I was like, if we only see R2, I'm happy with this episode.
Yeah, it's true.
And then we saw like a bunch of other people. So I was super stoked. It was
I thought it was interesting that she said though that he'll be much safer here than anywhere else in the galaxy. This is gonna be like the safest place for him right now. And I was like, oh Ahsoka, you've got such a blind spot when it comes to Skywalker males. He is not, if he stays there, he is not gonna be safe. We know how that turns out. It
also reminded me of that line, and this is just going way too deep for no reason, but in the Dark Knight when Maggie Gyllenhaal is like, Bruce Wayne's penthouse is the safest place in Gotham. It just struck me as that for some reason.
And then of course the so much like your father as just like because she's come to terms with Anakin and Vader and all of that. She's dealt with it literally firsthand. But like Luke, she had to face him to be able to do that.
I want to see all of those conversations.
I want to see. That's a book. That's a book right there, I think.
Oh shit! Don't make me read a book. Make it a comic. Make it a comic. I'll do a comic.
Okay.
It's stuff like that means so much because like I don't want to open a can of worms into a potential Last Jedi discussion. But obviously, some people, maybe myself included, while I totally love what they do with Luke in The Last Jedi, there is a part of me that was wanting to, I had so many questions, about, did Luke ever learn all this stuff about his father? Did he ever meet Ahsoka? And so it's really nice to go back and start layering in some of those breadcrumbs. And I think it's only going to make the movies better, And
I think you said it in the best way possible. It's layering it in. It's not, it's anyone who's like, oh, see, look, now they're fixing it. They're not fixing it. They are layering it in. It's like, all this stuff was still there. We're just now getting to see it.
It's like what Clone Wars did for the prequel trilogy. It really elevated it and gave it multiple layers. And I think we're seeing that now with like the questionable Snoke stuff in Mando. And now we're seeing Luke's Jedi Temple being built. And hey, I just want to throw this out there. I don't want to blow anyone's minds, but if let's say next week, Grogu and Luke meet Mando and Han's there. What's stopping little 5-6-year-old Ben Solo from being there?
I think if we see Han, we see Ben. I do think that the two are coming together.
Right. So, we're layering these things in, and I think as time goes on, it's only going to make, if people have issues with Rise of Skywalker, I think they're actively layering more stuff into those movies to make the connectivity stronger. So,
well, here at Live Action Star Wars, we have no issues with.
I love it. I love it too.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's the most fast and most intense Star Wars.
It's true.
It's like it's a supercharged engine of Star Wars in your eyes and ears. It's an assault.
My only regret is not enough Claude. Not enough Claude.
Oh yeah, we always need more Claude. All right, I've got through everything. I think I've gone through all my notes. It's the most notes I've taken, and
I took 0 notes because I sort of just kind of like enjoyed the episode.
Yeah.
I didn't get to watch it a second time. I'm like, I have you two on today, and you did beautifully. You guys did beautifully. It's exactly what I wanted.
The Notebook of Boba
Fett. Let's pop some plugs in for Adam. poppinpizza.substack.com. I think that's the link. I subscribe to your newsletter.
Thank you.
I
write weekly for /Film. I do the Star Wars Bits column there, which sort of collects all the news from the week and some things that maybe you haven't seen. And then I do a newsletter at Poppin' Pizza that's movie reviews or things I'm watching that I think are cool. So you can check me out there. You can check me out on Twitter. It's just my name, Adam Frazier. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
One of the best Star Wars follows you can do, everybody. Like we've said it before. Adam's great. We love having Adam on. We love talking to Adam about Star Wars on Twitter. We often interact.
While between the time I watch the Book of Boba Fett and the time we start here, I usually go through and look and see what you've posted. You're a little ahead of me in time, and it really helps. We've always mentioned you when we bring up your stuff. So
yeah, I appreciate it.
Especially follow Adam this week if you don't already, because you teased you got a thread planned for tomorrow, I believe.
What day is it? It's Wednesday. So I'm going to let a couple days go for spoilers, but on Friday, I think I'm just going to write up some of the stuff we've talked here about how all these characters connect to Boba Fett. Cause I think it's something that people are just either willingly being ignorant about and wanting to be devil's advocate on, or maybe they're just missing the sort of the point that I think they're trying to get across. So
that's it. Ralph, you mentioned maybe wanting to make a new design for a t-shirt earlier on. If they wanted to find other t-shirts with other designs of goofy stuff that we've talked about on the show before, where would they find it?
This is going to be the easiest way to do it because it's currently at my Casino Skunk. It's like Casino Skunk, Threadless, blah, blah, blah. There's a bunch of stuff. I have a bunch of different shows. I have a bunch of different things. And I have a collection for live action Star Wars. What the best thing to do is go to Live Action SW, click on the banner that says merch, and it'll take you right to that shop. I have a shirt that I'm gonna I don't know if I could sell it, but you'll see in a couple weeks. I absolutely love it. It's a shirt. I had it commissioned. It's the design of the pig on the yellow sweater that George Lucas wears in Beverly Hills Cop 3. I don't know how I can get that to you guys. I don't think I could sell it, but that may or may not be in the shop.
And if it is, buy it quick.
Right. I will be modeling it very soon because I can order from the back end, and then maybe you can just get a hold of me. I definitely have a Venmo. So anyway, go to liveactionsw.com. That's our website. That has everything you need. I just created a page of GIFs because I like creating GIFs, and I've been using GIFs on Twitter that you can't save because it's Twitter. I don't know why they don't have that option, but I altered the rooster dragon thing so it doesn't include the wipe, because the rooster action happens during a wipe. So I did some like real special effects work using a background plate. It was great. So I now have a clean version of the dragon rooster. You said it was a sand?
I think it's called like a sand bat. Yeah.
Okay.
Did you ever play Super Star Wars on Super Nintendo?
I saw this on Twitter this week.
I think it's like the things that fly around in Super Star Wars. So.
Yeah. And the four-armed creature as well is possibly something from that
was
as well.
A deep pull. I knew obviously that it was like Harryhausen, Frazetta inspired, but I forgot about it from. Super
we're gonna have to wait for the behind the scenes show after in a couple of weeks time.
At least we'll have Disney Gallery as well.
Gallery, that's through. Yeah.
Right. And for those of you listening to the audio version, head over to liveactionstarwars.com. That takes you to the YouTube page, where if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. It'll help us out, and you'll get bonus content like James's trip to Naboo, my trip to Batu, and more. I talk about that. I have an episode where I talk about scores. I do some lightsaber reviews. I'm going to do next. This Boba Fett one.
Look forward to it.
So, did I say Boba Fett? That's Obi-Wan. Anyway.
For now.
Liveactionstarwars.com. Check that all out. Adam, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me as always. Yeah, appreciate it.
And we look forward to we have to have you on again, because you mentioned Caravan of Courage. We haven't covered it yet, but
wow,
it's on the list.
Sign me up.
Yeah. All right. So that's all I have to say. We have a new sign off. I don't know. James, why don't you thank the folks in the chat maybe, and then
everybody. Yeah, thank you for joining us, Star Wars guy. You guys are so wizard. Thank you very much. You are too. We look forward to seeing everybody back next week for the season finale. It should be a big one.
Right.
But until then, don't give in to hate.
And celebrate the love.
Yes.
Punch it.